I'm Danielle.
And I'm Derek.
And we own Batch Mead in Temecula. We were going to do a little virtual tasting tonight, just to walk through all the ins and outs of mead, why we created a meadery, what we like about mead, what we like about working with each other. So, what are you drinking?
I am drinking our apple pie mead.
Ooh, why do you like that one?
Because it's fresh apples from Julian and local honey in Temecula. I don't know, is it a trick question?
No, it's not a trick question.
I love it. That's why.
I'm drinking coffee mead. So this is made with New Orleans style cold brew coffee that's from a Brooklyn coffee bean roaster. They make super thick, delicious cold brew that has some chicory in it like New Orleans style does. And it just really comes through and pairs really well with the honey and the vanilla in this mead. This is one of our fan favorites in the tasting room. People love this mead. It is caffeinated, very caffeinated, so drink wisely. You can get buzzed both ways. So, what is mead? What are we drinking?
The oldest form of wine, or alcoholic beverage, as I'd say. And mead is made from honey, water, and yeast. It happens in nature, so even if you're keeping bees, you're going to make mead, whether you want to or not. Any moisture gets into your honey or into your containers that you're keeping the honey, it'll ferment. Much like fresh pressed apples, if you've ever gone to the orchard and you have that in a jug and it stays out for too long, the jug will start to swell. You're already creating alcohol. Mead is very similar to that way.
And that's how they made it in the olden days. They just kind of set it out with a little bit of water and hope for the best. That's how tej, if you've ever had South African honey, that's pretty much how they were making that. It was very short fermentation, probably 4 to 6% alcohol, and they're just leaving it out and letting the natural yeasts in the air do its job and then drinking it a little while later. We have no idea what it tasted like. We've tried some commercially made tej, but probably tastes a little better, probably a lot better than what they were serving back in the olden times. There's traces all the way back. There's some reports of 40,000 BC, so we know the techniques weren't very coup de grace then.
Oh, and refrigeration wasn't a thing, so everything was warm. Even the beer that was just being made around that time. Warm, non-carbonated beer. Or you had mead.
So how did you get into mead? What was your first alcohol making experience?
Well, that was all because of you. You got me into, you got me wine kit. And I guess it all kind of started from there. Making my first batch of wine from a little bag. And after that I found mead and bought it at the store because I was like, ooh, what is this delicious beverage? And I absolutely loved it. And I found out that it was kind of like wine. So from there on out, I was going to make mead instead of white wine.
So lots of mead was made off the books before we opened the meadery, probably 80 or more batches over the course of 6 or 7 years. Lots of different flavor profiles, lots of testing of yeasts and honeys and time frames and all sorts of things. Basically everything that you could test as a home brewer, he was testing. I was more overseeing, tasting, making sure, quality control. As were our friends who kept asking for more and more of certain meads they really liked. Like you did strawberry shortcake, actually started as a home brew.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's one of our popular meads here at the meadery. We just sold out of it, but that's a very popular one. Another one that you made, I think you did like a berry, you tried blueberry, which we make every so often, like a dry blueberry mead. Mm-hmm. Local blueberry. So lots of fun stuff. And we originated in the good old Midwest, so we're from Illinois. We grew up 10-20 minutes away from each other.
Yep. If you're familiar, Woodstock and Crystal Lake, Illinois.
Not Crystal Lake like Friday the 13th, and not Woodstock like Woodstock of '69, which is in New York. So it doesn't have that like sordid backstory, but still fun. There was still a lake, no murders, we hope, but lots of, Midwestern life. And then we went to the same college. We actually met at a amusement park where I was his boss, much like we were gun spinning. It was an amusement park for kids, and he was throwing tomahawks, which if you come to the Meadery, you'll know we have axe throwing at least once a month, if not more often. That has a tie back to our roots. And then after that, we went to the same college. We both got business degrees. I have a degree in marketing, and you
have a degree in accounting.
And then you went to California with me. I got a job in California after spending a few years in an agency in Chicago, and we moved to San Francisco, and you got a job doing
taxes.
There are 3 things certain in life.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And from there we went to Seattle. We tried a lot of mead along the way. We were doing very important product research, trying to figure out what mead was all about, what were people doing, how were they making it. And honestly, everybody's was very different. There wasn't any sort of consistency in terms of flavors or style or even yeast use. It's kind of still all over the place, and everybody has their own spin on mead. So we went after more about the focus is the mead and less about, its ties to its historical origins of Vikings and other things, because we wanted to really showcase mead and see how it played in, this modern era of seltzers and wine and beer and craft alcohol in general. Hard kombucha, a lot of people compare us to that. And then from there, we moved here because why?
Well, because we wanted to start the Meadery. Backing up a little bit, we went to the West Coast for our jobs, and then up to Seattle, and we really like California. So we're like, how do we go to California wine country? Because ultimately we want to open a Meadery. We lived nomadically, but that was only by luck, I would guess, because of our jobs.
We were
able
remote.
to do that. Yeah. So we lived down the coast, and we found Temecula. So Southern California wine country, great place for families, and that kind of sealed the deal for us. So here we are, Temecula.
Temecula is a great place for owning a business. We're originally from the Midwest, but it's so heavy on the community of entrepreneurs that so many people have small businesses, and the city really supports small businesses. They gave us a grant this year, thank you, City of Temecula, and the Tourism Bureau is super supportive as well. So Temecula has been an awesome place to own a business, and it's been not as expensive as other parts of California, but we're still kind of centralized to San Diego, LA, Palm Springs, all the cool SoCal places. Most people haven't heard of Temecula, but it's an awesome place to be. It's also wine country.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just a lot of tourism here from LA and San Diego, people trying new things, which kind of cemented us to come here. So, you already said what you're drinking,
Yep.
But how do you prefer to drink mead? We always get asked that question, I think, when people buy bottles.
So I would say slightly chilled. Treat it like you would a white wine. You get the heavier alcohol meads that are, say, above 11-12%, barrel aged or something in that category. I usually like grabbing a snifter kind of like this. But yeah, it's up to basically the person drinking it and how they would like to enjoy it. I treat it as a wine.
I think slightly chilled usually means around like 45. We usually tell people put it in your fridge, or if it's something that's lower ABV, so usually 7% or lower, we say keep in your fridge just so it maintains, all the properties that you want it to keep. Otherwise, no matter what kind of vessel you put it in, a little bit of oxygen will get in over time, and when you keep it in the refrigerator, less gets in, and then you can control for any sort of climate factors like the sun or just your house getting warm or cold. and things that are a little bit higher ABV. So even like this is our pumpkin pie mead that has pumpkin spice and pumpkin in it. You get different flavor profiles when you drink it at like room temperature versus slightly chilled. So this one, when you drink it warmer, it'll have more of the spice notes to it, but when you drink it more chilled, you'll get more of the honey notes. So it just kind of depends on what you're going after. You can also mix it with cocktails. We've had people do, you know, half and half. We have our Viking mead, which some people like to use for old fashions with whiskey or bourbon. There's lots of different things that you can do. There's really no limits. No one's judging you. If you find something cool, let us know. We always like to try new things. I think sometimes people blend meads at the bar, which is always kind of like, oh, wait, don't do that. But, you know, it's always fun to try new things and see what flavors we can create. So obviously let us know if you have ever tried to make alcohol or how you drink mead. We also have different glasses. So we like this glass style, which is a wine glass. We get asked, you know, how big should the pour be? That's up to you. We won't judge. But in the tasting room, we pour about 7 ounces. So we consider it more of a wine just in terms of alcoholic content. So we don't want anyone, you know, tripping out the door. So we pour about 7 ounces. In our tasters, we pour about 3. So you get a flight of 4. It's about 12 ounces, so it's about 2 glasses. And then we don't really pour anything in like a beer glass or anything like that. Even our ciders, which tend to be about 7-8%, we pour those in wine glasses as well. Because we also like how it looks pretty, right? But the flavor profiles and the carbonation kind of suits better to this glass than if you're getting like, you know, your typical beer style 16-ounce glass, I think.
Yeah, and well, the alcohol is generally higher than 9% with all of our meads, up to about 12 or 13.
Yep, one time you made one that was 18%.
Yeah, it was high. It was 17, and yeah, that was fun. I kept adding honey, and when I was taking my measurements, it said the gravity was the same. You're measuring gravity to see the sugar in the actual honey water mixture, because all that sugar is going to ferment out and create alcohol. It wasn't changing, so I just kept adding honey. Well, funny story is, if you're not mixing it while you're adding it, of course it's not going to change. So I checked it the next day after it circulated and the yeast kicked up all of the honey water mixture and really mixed things around. I was like, oh, the potential alcohol is 17%, no problem. It was delicious. It just took a little while to age out because of the higher alcohol.
It was delicious. People love that one. We have not recreated it. I think since then the highest has been 14%.
Right. Because like a wine, the higher the alcohol, the longer you're going to wait.
We don't like to wait. We want it now. So we also have some really fun upcoming releases. So in front of us we have all of our pie meads. So this is just one of 6. We have our boysenberry pie, which is also really popular, very delicious. And what else? I don't know exactly. I did not pour this. You poured this.
Oh,
so what
yeah.
are they?
Maple pecan. We have boysenberry pie. We have strawberry rhubarb pie. And then, of course, another apple pie, just like what I have in my glass.
We also have pumpkin, and we have banana cream. So this was
Pecan maple.
So we have 6 different pies, banana cream and pumpkin, our small batches, so those will probably run out soon. And then upcoming we have our butterbee style mead, which is always really popular. It's a creamy style mead, so you kind of get foamy when you pour it in a glass. It's a little bit foamy. It's a mead made with caramelized honey. So how you can explain that process?
Yep, we caramelize the honey by just pouring honey into a kettle and boiling the honey from there until it reaches a nice golden, like reddish brown color. And then we add in water very carefully so we don't boil over, and not allow the honey to harden and cool and stick back to the pot. After we get it back into the fermenter, we also have butterscotch that goes into it. So it is definitely it's like those hard candies. that you have, those butterscotch candies. In terms of flavor, it's very similar.
Very frothy, creamy, all those buttery notes, perfect for a cold winter day that we don't really know anything about anymore here in SoCal, but very delicious, super fun. People love it for different events. It's always a good shareable mead, or you could keep it for yourself. It's up to you. We also have lots of new things coming. What's in the fermenters right now?
So we are doing a bunch of ciders because it is apple picking season, harvest season, and we got 370 something odd gallons from Julian. It's just a mountain up the hill from us, but they specialize in apples. So they crushed apples for us. We have strawberry, not strawberry, sorry. We have a sweet raspberry. We have a traditional dry cider. We have pomegranate cider, huckleberry cider, and a pineapple cider coming out.
Lots of
fun flavors.
And we made a perry a while ago that's kind of sour, we could say.
Yep, sour pear.
I'm calling it perry, but perry is cider made from pear, and it's pretty tart. It's also dry. It's sparkling. We're just waiting on the labels to release that one, and then we have a new series coming up for October for the fall called, we'll be calling it our fairy tale series, so we're excited about that. That's going to have some fun flavors. Those are aging right now as well. And we have lots of fun new series coming up throughout the end of the year. We always like to try new things. Viking series is coming back, and anything that we can sell in a 3-pack is always super fun because there's just more to try and more to love. And I think those are kind of the big ones. There's some other cool stuff we'll be trying a little bit later with herbs and fruit and kind of playing with those flavors as well. But let us know if there's any flavor profiles you want us to try. We've gotten some interesting ones over the years. There was a guy one time that was like adamant about using purple sweet potatoes, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Vegetables, pumpkin is like even a little tricky, I think.
Pumpkin is very tricky because you can't let that ferment at all. And you add it in the cold end and you take it out while it's cold too. It's very similar to cold brew, how you would treat pumpkin.
Yep. What is your favorite thing about working at the Meadery?
Well, I get to drink all day long.
That is not even true.
Quality control. No.
Barely.
So I get to create all these beautiful flavors, and it's so fun dealing with the honey and the fresh fruit and bottling it, seeing each one go from start to finish. We make 52 different flavors a year or more. So yeah, we get a lot of different things that come out of the Meadery, and it's just fun to experiment and see how things go flavor wise, and what we can make. I mean, the limit is our creativity.
And hopefully we don't run out of that anytime soon. I would say that's my favorite part too. All the releases that we get to do and kind of seeing how people like them, what parts they like. That's why we did the Mythical Creature series twice this year. The first time people were just obsessed with the theme of mythical creatures, and so we wanted to do another series with all different flavors just to see what people like the most. And I think if we had to pick, probably the acai, berry, blackcurrant, Hound of Hades, and then we did one on the first series called Eye of the Basilisk, which people really liked, that had blackberries and orange peel and rum chips, rum barrel age. And then the one prior to, or there was another one we did, pomegranate elderberry.
Elderberry, yep.
That one was pretty delicious as well. So lots of fun, delicious flavors. And what is your favorite part about working with me?
Well, I mean, I get to work with my wife. Enough said. I don't know. We get to experience all of these the seasons of this business together, and that has been very fun. Because we opened in 2019, And then there was that the pandemic and all of that stuff, and we were able to pivot and keep the business growing, luckily. And we've grown it from a small 3-barrel production to now 40-barrel. So
well, it's just one. We have 2 40-barrels.
Yeah, so I mean, it's been a fun experience, and that and the fact that we're shipping to 40 states now has really opened our horizons, and it's just fun to see this all grow and do this together.
It's definitely been a lot of ups and downs. I think there's a lot of things when you open a business that you don't think about that you'll have to do. You think about all the fun things that you'll get to do, and there's definitely a lot of admin and other crazy hassle that you have to go through when you own your own business. Lots of fun stuff. What is your least favorite thing about, I guess, mead in general?
Least favorite? Well, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, really. I feel like it's also one of my favorite things is mead is kind of the Wild West, right? So nobody really has set procedures and processes, and you'll get variations from meadery to meadery, maker to maker, on what it's going to taste like. You could have a strawberry mead from 2 different meaderies, and they'll be completely different. Not saying that that's wrong. I'm just saying that maybe the least favorite thing is the variance in quality. We're striving to make some really delicious meads, and I know a lot of other meaderies in SoCal that also make delicious meads, but I've also had very questionable commercial meads. So you really have to know where you're getting your mead from, and that would be my least favorite part, because we're all trying to grow here. Let's just make great mead.
Yeah, that is, I mean, sometimes it's frustrating because people think they don't like mead, and you're like, oh, are you sure? I mean, some people don't like it, that's fine. Not everybody likes wine, not everybody likes beer. There's something different for everyone, but there's a lot of times where people are like, oh no, I had mead at a Ren fair, I had homebrew, I had mead from X Meadery, I don't like mead, and we're like, oh, okay, no problem, like, here, just try a little sample of this one's been really popular. And they'll try it and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I like mead, this is amazing. And so I think for us, it's like, it's just like an extra step to try and convince people that not all mead is equal, just like all alcoholic beverages are not equal. And there's just, there's a lot of different flavor profiles, and we try to make a lot of different things so that there's something for everyone. I know we're a little short on the dry meads at the moment, but that's what we aim for. We want to spread mead and how amazing it is with everyone we know. I mean, it's not necessarily healthy for you. Alcohol cannot be called healthy, I don't think, but it does have the benefits of honey that you don't really get in any other alcohol source. Nobody's telling you, the grains in this beer are high in fiber. No one's saying that. But in mead, honey, especially when you use really high quality honey, you're getting antioxidants and
also depends on your process. So outside of butterbeef, for example, where we caramelize the honey, we generally don't heat our honey, so it retains all of that natural character. Delicious things.
Let's see, what else? Well, if you guys have any questions for us, let us know. Otherwise, that was pretty much all the cool things we wanted to cover. Lots of fun stuff upcoming. We have a Hive Club if you want to kind of get something on the regular. Every 3 months we ship out either 4 or 8 bottles depending on which Hive Club you're in. And it's just a great way to try different things coming out of the meadery. Right now we don't have any designations. It's just kind of all our sweet, semi-sweet meads, but I'm sure sometime in the future we'll do more. Anything you want to close with?
If any of you guys are homebrewers, fire off some questions. That's about it. And no, I won't tell you the yeast we use is proprietary.
Cheers!
Cheers.